and 5, 4, and live. Good luck.
Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün ABD'nin en popüler üniversitelerinden Wayne State University eğitim ve başvuru şartlarını Gabrielle'den dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Gabrielle, the stage is yours now.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. And hello, everyone. My name is Gabrielle Strakowski, and I am a project coordinator for educational outreach and international programs at Wayne State University. Basically, that just means that I work closely with all of our prospective and admitted international students from all over the world. So it's really great to be here with you all today. It is 9 a.m. here in Detroit, so I'm just getting my day started, and it's great to kick off this Tuesday with all of you. So just an overview of what I'll discuss today. I'm going to talk about why Wayne State is a great choice for international students. I will provide an overview of our academic programs. I'll talk about the admissions process, our scholarship opportunities, and then of course we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. So please do make sure as questions come up, you put them in the questions chat box. At the end, I will go through all of the questions and make sure that all of your questions are answered. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So Wayne State University is located in the heart of Midtown Detroit in Michigan. So you can see it on the map on the screen here. We're really in a great location because we are right in the heart of a big city. But Michigan is also surrounded by the 5 Great Lakes. So it's really perfect whether you are someone who's looking for that city life experience or you're more of a nature person. Like, we really have a beautiful mix of both. Michigan also truly gets all 4 seasons, as we say. So the summers are really warm and beautiful. In the fall, you know, we get like the leaves change colors and we get all sorts of orange and red along the tree lines. And then in the winter, we get snow. So it's really a beautiful climate, beautiful location. We are a nationally ranked premier Research One institution. And basically what that means is we've been identified as having like the highest level of research activity possible going on our campus. So there is a lot of research happening. You know, last year we had a lot of research going on regarding COVID-19 to identify how the disease was spreading, how we could stop it. You know, a lot of Wayne State scientists are on committees with our state government to try to figure out, you know, how to slow down this pandemic and make sure everyone stays healthy. So we really are right in the heart of all of the innovation that's going on. So whether you're interested in medicine or, you know, any of the natural sciences or even like the social sciences like psychology, social work, you know, there's research going on our campus. It's a great place to be. We are home to over 25,000 students, including about 1,100 international students from 80 different countries. So we're really a great location for international students because not only will you be able to interact with people from all over the state of Michigan and all over the country, but also from all over the world. 80 different countries, you know, are represented on our campus. And we're known for having the most diverse student body in Michigan. So this is really something we take a lot of pride in, and something that really attracts many of our international students to come study with us. We have 13 different academic schools and colleges with nearly 350 different programs. So there's truly something for everyone. Here you can see kind of what our areas of expertise are based on how our academic schools and colleges are broken up. So we have our Mike Ilitch School of Business, our College of Education, our College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, our College of Engineering. Our graduate school oversees all of our graduate programs in any of these areas. And we have an honors college for really high achieving students, a school of information sciences, a law school, a school of medicine, a college of nursing, school of social work, College of Fine Performing and Communication Arts, and then our Eugene Applebaum College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. So we really have programs in just about everything. If you are interested in learning more about any of these programs, we have a really comprehensive program website, wayne.edu/programs, where you can really dive into the specifics of any of the 350 different programs that we offer and find out more about the course requirements for that program, about how long it would take to complete, the tuition rate, the admissions criteria, so what you would need to apply, all that good stuff. I say this because one of the most common questions I get, especially from international students, is about, the very specific requirements for applying to a very specific program we have. And while I know a lot about everything that we offer at Wayne State, I'm not an expert in all 350 different programs that we have. So if you're wondering, for example, if you need a GRE score for a certain program, it's best to just check the website because all that information is displayed there. So you could really dive in and make sure that you know what's going on. With that being said, if you do have any specific questions about programs, I can try my best to answer them today. So feel free to put any questions you have in the chat if you're wondering about whether we have a certain program, or if you just, have questions about certain programs you're pursuing. I'll definitely do my best, but I may need to refer to that website just to get all the specifics for you. Next, I'm going to talk about our campus life. So Wayne State is situated within an American Culture Center. So what that means is that our campus is really in the heart of just a lot of different hands-on learning opportunities. So for example, the Detroit Institute of Arts is truly steps away from our campus. This mural that you see on the screen is from the Detroit Institute of Arts. It's a famous mural by artist Diego Rivera. And we also have our Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, a museum of contemporary art, all very close to campus. So these are opportunities where students can really go and experience culture, hands-on, firsthand, right by our campus. In addition to all the museums we also have a variety of theater venues. So we have Broadway theater companies that come through Detroit pretty regularly and perform musical theater or opera. We also have, musicians and comedians and other performers come through those theaters. We also have 4 professional sports venues in Detroit. We have our professional baseball, basketball, hockey, and American football teams. So there's always a lot going on and a lot to really immerse yourself in. Many of our students do live on campus with us. Students are never required to live on campus. Some of our students choose to live off campus, but just for the sake of convenience, most of our international students live right on campus with us. We have 7 different residence halls and apartment complexes to choose from, and they come with all the amenities that you may need to succeed as a student. So it comes with internet, laundry rooms, workout facilities, dining options, and of course, they're going to be all very close to where your classes will take place. So very convenient and very accommodating. We also have a very active campus. We have more than 400 student organizations and 18 Division II varsity athletic teams. So there's always something going on campus, whether you want to get involved in a student organization that aligns with your personal or professional interests, or if you just want to go watch a sports game, there's always things happening. I know you can't just pop on over to Detroit and take a tour, but we do have a virtual tour that we offer of our campus that you can take from the comfort of your own home in Turkey. So if you go to wayne.edu/tour, you can see our campus virtually to see if it seems like a good fit for you and just get a little more familiar with who we are. All right, next I'm going to talk about the admissions process. So first I'm going to talk about undergraduate admissions, and then I'll talk about graduate admissions. So for undergraduate admissions, this is for people who are completing or have just completed high school and are now entering college for the first time. So if this is you, you are considered an undergraduate student. And to apply for admission, you would first complete the undergraduate admissions application at wayne.edu/apply. We do have a fee waiver for undergraduate international students. It is on your screen. It's OIP 2022. This is case sensitive, so it does need to be in all capital letters. But this is valid through August, and this means if you put in that code as an international student, you will not have to pay the application fee. So definitely, if you're a prospective undergraduate student, you will want to take note of that. Then we will need an official high school transcript. We need an official copy and a copy translated into English if your original copy is in a different language. And then you can do one of two things. You can either submit a standardized test score, meaning an SAT or ACT score, or instead you can submit test optional documents, which include 2 essays, 2 letters of recommendation, and an extracurricular activities list. So either option is totally fine. This gives students flexibility so that if you're able or want to take a standardized test score, you can do that. But if not, there are other documents you can submit to us instead. We will also need an English language proficiency score from international students. For undergraduate applicants, we're looking for a minimum of a 79 or 80 on the TOEFL, a minimum of a 6.5 on the IELTS exam, or a minimum of 120 for the Duolingo English test. Any of these tests are acceptable, but we do need one of those minimum test scores in order to consider you for admission. For maximum scholarship consideration, you do need to complete the undergraduate admission application, including submission of all of your documents by December 1st, 2021. This will allow you to be considered for all possible scholarships that we have to offer. So that is an important date. If you are looking at fall 2022, you're going to want to apply. I do see a question coming in through the question box about are application deadlines flexible? Not really. Deadlines are pretty hard and fast rules. And so that is my biggest piece of advice for international applicants is to apply early, because it takes time to complete the application and for us to get all your documents after you send them to us. And you do want to be very mindful of deadlines wherever you're applying. So I would not consider deadlines to be flexible. You know, in your college search, I would pay very close attention to deadlines and make sure that you are doing everything you need to do before the deadline. Okay, perfect. So as I mentioned, for undergraduate freshmen, that priority scholarship deadline is December 1st. And what that means is for undergraduate students who apply by that date, you're automatically considered for scholarships when you're considered for admission. So in other words, you don't have to do any extra scholarship application. When you apply for admission, Again, as long as you apply by that deadline, we will go ahead and see if you are eligible for any of our merit-based scholarships. And if you are, we will let you know as soon as you're admitted that you're also getting those scholarships. So by meeting that deadline, you're saving yourself a lot of time and also allowing yourself to be considered for a lot of money. So the merit-based awards that we consider students for really range quite a bit. It can be anywhere from $500 US per year all the way up to $6,000 US per year. So it's a pretty big range. Typically, the better your academic performance has been throughout high school, the more money we will offer you. But we do a holistic review of your application. So we'll also look at, if you submit the test optional documents, we'll also be looking at your essays, your letters of recommendation, your extracurricular involvement, and those types of things to consider you for scholarship. For our international undergraduate students, you are also eligible to apply for what's called the You Are Welcome Here scholarship. And recipients of this award are assessed at the in-state tuition rate, which is a savings of more than $10,000 over the international rate. It's a huge scholarship, and it's just for our incoming undergraduate freshmen. So because it's such a massive scholarship, this one you do have to apply for separately. But if you get it, it's a really, really huge scholarship. Just to give you some context, our undergraduate and graduate students for tuition, it's typically somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000 US for a full academic year. So compared to a lot of other universities in the area, we are very affordable. But scholarship money, I know, is really important for international students because that is, of course, a significant amount of money. So we are proud to offer these scholarship awards just to try to help make that a little more affordable, especially for our high achieving students. Tuition, though, is going to vary depending on what program you are in and how many credits you're taking. So, it's hard to say like an exact tuition cost for every single student, just because there are various factors that come into play when we do calculate your tuition. And I will, in the chat near the end, in the Q&A portion, I'll put the tuition kind of assessment in the chat so that you can click on that link and explore it if you want. But definitely, I say definitely plan for at least like $25,000 to $35,000 a year for full-time tuition, not taking into account like any scholarships you may receive, which hopefully you do get some scholarships so that you can have tuition assistance. Okay. I'm just checking to see if there's any questions about undergraduates before I move on to grad. The AP scores, great question. If you're taking AP classes, basically this will come into effect when, if you're admitted and decide to enroll, if you get certain scores on AP exams, that can give you college credit. So it doesn't really impact admission as much as it impacts like you getting college credit toward your degree when you enroll here. I will also provide the AP chart that shows what scores earn you college credit a little bit later when I get to the Q&A. But AP scores don't necessarily directly impact admission. It's more so about college credit. Okay, the rest of the questions I'm going to wait on and address in the Q&A because for now I'm going to move on to graduate admissions. So for any graduate students out there, a graduate student is someone who has completed their undergraduate degree already somewhere else and is ready for either like a master's or a PhD program. So for graduate students, you will also apply online. There is a $50 application fee for graduate students. Unfortunately, we do not have a tuition waiver, or I'm sorry, application fee waiver for grad students. So that fee will need to be paid. And then you will need to submit your undergraduate transcript. Eventually, a course-by-course evaluation in the form of an ECE or a WES will also be needed, but it's not required until after admission. So just your undergraduate transcript is needed for the application process. For graduate students, you must have the equivalent of a bachelor's degree to be considered, meaning you need to have the equivalent of like 4 years of undergraduate coursework and have earned a degree from those 4 years of coursework. For master's applicants, we're looking for a minimum undergraduate GPA of at least a 2.75 on a 4.0 scale. And for doctoral applicants, we're looking for a minimum undergraduate GPA of a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. We'll also look at your upper division coursework. If your GPA is lower than that, but you have an average of a 2.75 or a 3.0 in your upper division coursework, we will accept that too. Just like our undergraduate students, graduate students do need to submit an English language proficiency score. For the TOEFL, we're looking for that minimum of a 75 to 80. For the IELTS, we're looking for a minimum of a 6.5. And then for the Duolingo, for graduate students, we need to see a minimum of a 125. So we will need that English language proficiency score. Some programs will also require additional documents, and this varies pretty widely for our graduate programs in terms of what other documents are required. And so this is where I would point you to the program's website, which is wayne.edu/programs. If you are interested in a graduate program, so you can see what is needed. Some of our programs will require a GRE or a GMAT score. Some might require a personal statement, letters of recommendation, things like this. So you're definitely going to want to check with your program for more information. For our graduate students, we do have graduate scholarships that you can apply for. They're pretty competitive, but I do encourage students to apply for them. You can find more information about that right on our website. And then for graduate students, we also have what's called assistantships. And this means that you can get a tuition stipend to support the cost of tuition in exchange for assisting some of our faculty with either teaching or research or something else that they may need help with on campus. So you basically like work for one of our faculty and in exchange get a tuition stipend. Definitely for our graduate students, we also have that funding support. It's a little more competitive than undergraduate. Again, you'll have to apply for these things separately. You are not automatically considered, but many of our international students have either a scholarship or an assistantship to help support them with tuition. Okay, and that is the end of my presentation. So before I jump into your questions, first of all, I want to thank you for listening and for your attention. And I also want to encourage you to email our office anytime if you do have additional questions. Our email address is oip@wayne.edu. And so you will get a response within a day or two if you email us about anything you may be wondering. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And we are on social media. So we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to follow us and just kind of keep tabs on what's going on campus, that's a great way to learn more about Wayne State. So at this time, I'm going to jump into the questions you've submitted. I see some great questions have come in. So please feel free to continue posting those questions if there is something you're wondering that I have not yet addressed. And I'm going to make sure to get to all of these. One thing I am going to do quickly, though, is just grab the tuition chart, because I know I already see a few questions about that in the chat, and I know I mentioned earlier I would get that for you all. So again, for those asking, what is the tuition at Wayne State? International students should expect to pay somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000 US for a full academic year. Again, the exact price is going to vary a little bit depending on what your program is and how many credits you're taking. So that's just like a general amount that I would say you should expect. I just put the link for the tuition chart in the chat. So for questions about tuition, you can kind of check that out and see how much it would be per program. Another question I see in here is how many credits do we get per year? That's a great question. So for undergraduate students, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security requires that you take at least 12 credit hours per semester. Excuse me. So that is what you would expect to pay or expect to take per semester. An undergraduate degree takes 120 credit hours to complete. So for a 4-year undergraduate degree, that's an average of 15 credits per semester. If you take, 15 credits in the fall and 15 credits in the winter for 4 years, that adds up to 120. So many of our international students take 15 credits per semester to stay on track. However, the minimum that you have to take for an undergraduate student is 12. For graduate students, the Department of Homeland Security requires that you take at least 8 credits per semester to be full-time. Graduate programs really vary widely regarding exactly how many credits you need to graduate with your degree. Some of our master's programs only require 30 credits, so that's like 4 semesters. Others will require closer to 60. So that's really going to depend for the graduate degrees. The other thing I said I would provide to you all is the AP chart. So again, if you're an undergraduate student and you've taken AP classes and you have completed the AP test and you've gotten an acceptable score, that can get you just a little bit closer to that degree. So in the chat, I'll also put the AP chart. You can reference that to see what minimum score you need on a variety of AP tests in order to earn credit toward your degree. Okay, let me see what other questions are in here. Okay, so there's a great question in here about, can we study English prep at Wayne State? You absolutely can. So basically what that means is if you are a student who academically you are ready for either an undergraduate or graduate program, but your English language proficiency score is just not, not at the minimum that we need to grant you admission, then you can do what's called the English Language Institute at Wayne State. And basically that means that you spend a few semesters, kind of depending on where your English language skills are at, will impact how long you will spend in this phase. But you spend a semester or two studying the English language intensively to get your English language up to the point where you are ready to jump in to those academic classes and learn in English. So if you are someone who just needs some more English language learning before you are ready to study at Wayne State, you can absolutely apply for the English Language Institute and do the English language program first. and then jump into some of our academic programs. So I put the link for the English Language Institute in the chat. If that is something that interests you, you can apply and study. Ooh, I'm so sorry. Study the English language with us before doing your academic program. Okay. So, okay, another question I see here is, can we apply to more than one program? For undergraduate students, you can only apply to one program. However, you could very easily change your program once you are admitted, because we evaluate all of our undergraduate students with the same criteria, simply because it is very common for undergraduate students to change their major, because undergraduate students are often like exploring what they want to do for a career. And so, you know, we understand that whatever you apply for initially may not be the program that you kind of end up pursuing. So for undergraduate students, you can only apply for one program, but you can very easily change it. For graduate students, at that point, we expect that graduate students are really looking to specialize in something very specific. And so you can only apply, really apply for, like if you get admission for a program, you kind of have to stick with that program. You can't easily change. However, because of that, graduate students can apply for more than one program. So let's say you're interested in mechanical engineering, but you're also, you know, interested in computer science and you're considering pursuing a master's in like both of those things. You could apply for a master's degree in both and see if you're eligible for admission. However, you know, if you're admitted to one of those programs, you can't just like change your major. You're going to have to, when you get admission, you're really only admitted for that specific program. So very different processes for undergraduate versus graduate students. Again, if you have any like questions, if you're considering a few different programs and you just want to make sure you are navigating the application process correctly, feel free to email us and we can always like walk you through that. Okay. Another question I see here is what SAT score is required for Wayne State. So we don't actually require an SAT score at any point because students do not have to complete the SAT to apply. Again, for undergraduates, you can either submit an SAT or ACT score, or you can submit test optional documents, meaning 2 essays, 2 letters of recommendation, and an activities list. So there's no minimum SAT score required for admission because you could very well get admitted without an SAT score at all. If you do choose to submit an SAT score, there's still not really like a minimum we're looking for because we look at your application holistically, meaning we look at a variety of different factors and take all of those into consideration together to make a decision. So not really like a true minimum we're looking for. If you feel like you don't, if your SAT score is lower than you'd like it to be, or you just don't feel confident that you're going to be able to produce a score that's competitive, I would say just apply with the test optional documents. Okay. Another question here says, I completed psychology, a psychology program in English in Turkey. Do I still need to show a TOEFL score? Unfortunately, yes. So even if you have completed your education in English, just to make sure that your English is proficient enough to really like read, write, listen, and speak in English in a way that will allow you to succeed academically just in our campus community. We just still require that English language proficiency score just to make sure that you are ready So even if your education has been completed in English, we still are going to need a score from you. I typically recommend the Duolingo just because you can take it online at any time from the comfort of your home, and results are typically available within a couple of days. However, any of the tests will work. So Duolingo, TOEFL, the IELTS exam, any of those are acceptable. Okay, the next question is, do many students live off campus, and what are the campus housing options? Great question. So students are never required to live on our campus. So some students do live on campus, some students live off campus. The students who live off campus will typically either live with like family or friends nearby in like a home, a traditional like residence, you know, a house. Or there are also like apartment complexes nearby where you can like pay rent to live in an apartment. However, I would say like most of our international students live in our on-campus housing just because it's really convenient. There are a few different housing options to choose from, and I'm going to put the link to our housing website in the chat. So if you want to check it out, you're more than welcome to. But they come with all the amenities, which is nice. So like your electricity, your, you know, internet, you know, laundry, all of those things sometimes cost extra money when you live off campus somewhere. But if you live on campus, it's all included, which is really nice. Okay. There's a question in here about like getting visas. So basically what will happen is like after you're admitted, you will submit your financial documents to us, meaning like your statement of financial support and like a bank statement showing that you have adequate funds to support your tuition, and you'll receive what's called an I-20, which is what you'll take to your visa interview. We have no control, unfortunately, over like whether students get a visa, because that is completely under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Embassy, of the State Department. So, you know, we will provide you with all of the documents that you need to go to your visa appointment, but whether or not you get your visa is done by, you know, a U.S. consulate of the government. So we aren't involved in that process, but we'll just make sure that you're fully prepared and have all the documents that you need for that visa interview. Okay. I'm seeing one more question here, which I'll respond to, but if there are any other questions, feel free to add those in the question chat box. Okay, so this question is about work experience and whether or not that has an impact on admission and scholarship. So for undergraduate students, you know, if you have work experience, definitely put that in your activities list so that we know that's something that you've been involved in addition to your, you know, schooling. For graduate students, that actually might be something that your program requires you to submit. So some of our programs will ask for a resume detailing all of your work experience, and they'll take that into consideration as part of the application process as well. So it may be considered depending on what program you're applying for. For scholarships, I would say scholarships are typically awarded based on academic performance. So work experience does not have as much of an impact on scholarship, but it might be something that is taken into consideration for the admissions process. Also, when you get to Wayne State, if you are interested in working, you can do so. So as an international student, you can work up to 20 hours a week. And you can either like work an on-campus job, or if you want to do like an internship or something in your field, that is also possible too. So definitely those opportunities are available for international students once you get here. That is all the questions that I see. So I'm going to give a minute or more just to see if anyone else has any questions that you want to submit. But that is all I am seeing right now. So if there's any more questions, now's your last chance to submit them. Okay, great. One just came through. Thank you for that. So this question asks, what are the social activities on campus? We have a wide variety of things going on campus. So we have, we have like Division II sports. So like sports teams that play professionally, so to speak, against other colleges. We have intramural sports. So if you just kind of want to play sports for fun, but not like formally compete, we have those. We have student organizations that are specific to a wide variety of hobbies, whether that's like playing video games or like hiking or whatever it is you enjoy. We, have clubs related to artistic interests, musical interests. We have clubs related to different professional and academic interests. So if you're someone who wants to go into like law or engineering or medicine, there are clubs related to that. You can actually take a look at all of our student organizations right online at a website called getinvolved.wayne.edu. I have just put that in the chat for your reference, so you can check it out. But that allows you to see all of the organizations we have on our campus. And in addition to that, you can see like what events are happening on campus to get a feel for what campus life is like. So great question. Okay. There's a question here about an assistantship question, something regarding together reading. I'm not 100% sure what that is specifically. We do have assistantship opportunities. So that is definitely something that you could apply for. A variety of our departments do offer assistantships where you can either help out with teaching, research, grading, other tasks that faculty need help with. You do have to apply for assistantships because in return, you'll get like tuition support. So I'm not sure about the one you're specifically referring to. However, we do have assistantships available to apply for. Another great question here is about, is there a requirement for a PCR negative test or a vaccine? Great question, very relevant right now. So Wayne State University does have a vaccine mandate. So all students, faculty, and staff have to be vaccinated against COVID-19 to be part of our campus community. For international students, if you are unable to get the vaccine in your country, we do have vaccines on campus that you can get once you arrive. However, we strongly encourage students, if possible, if you have the availability to get a vaccine in your home country, to do it as soon as possible. There is also currently a requirement for international flights for people who are flying into the United States to show a negative COVID test. So you would need to get vaccinated and show a negative COVID test to travel here. Yes, good question. So if you don't get vaccinated in time, that is okay. because some of our international students were in that situation. And I would just say contact us and let us know. Email the OIP at wayne.edu and say like, hi, like I was unable to get vaccinated, and we will connect you with our campus health center and make sure that you are able to get the vaccine once you are here. However, you do need to let us know in advance, because there is that vaccine requirement. Because, you know, if you aren't vaccinated, we just need to make sure that we have a plan and have gotten you approval for like a special circumstance. But we've been able to do that for our international students who are unable to get access to the vaccine abroad. Okay. That is the last question that I see. So I just want to thank you all for your time and attention today. I hope you consider Wayne State in your college search. And it's been a pleasure spending what is my morning with all of you. I hope to see you around Wayne State's campus sometime in the future. And please do not hesitate to email oip@wayne.edu if you have any questions in your college search down the road. So thank you for attending, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, thank you very much for the great presentation, Gabrielle. It was a really informative webinar for the attendees, and yet another great session with you. Thank you for your answers. We had a lot of questions and you covered them all. And I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Wayne State University ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için ekrandaki mail adresinden Gabriel'e ulaşabilirsiniz. Aynı zamanda linkleri de incelemeniz faydalı olacaktır. 6'daki webinarımızda görüşmek üzere. Thank you very much again, Gabrielle. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.